Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 168th episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V is in the house. Please follow the show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Robbie Clayton. Birthday week for you, brother.
What's up, Woods? It is birthday week. I've been out for a buffet with the family today, so feeling very full and very sleepy at the moment. But it's looking forward to a big few days ahead.
Ooh, it's also been a tough week for you, man. So we'll get into that in a minute, right? Let's take it away. Who you got for us today in terms of your jersey?
Extremely random one today, Woods. I don't reckon you'll know I've got this one. I reckon you'll probably find this one almost a little bit funny. So you can see it's a Pacers one. I thought I'd rock that, but wait till you see what I've got today.
And for those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the classic Indiana Pacers Austin Croshere jersey. And I was just talking to a friend today about those great Pacers teams over the last 20 to 30 years and how they would be watching on with pride. And Austin Croshere would be one of those guys, right?
Did you have any idea I had this jersey?
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Love this one first. So, you know, you had the different era of Pacers jerseys back then. Really like the pinstripe on this one. It's an old school Champion 48, which is a beautiful fitting jersey. So, love the jersey. Yeah, a little bit on Austin Croshere. So, it's his blue Champion Pacers jersey. Very random one. I don't even remember where and when I got this one, but I know it's definitely a random one. So, look, he played 12 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Providence by the Pacers at pick 12 in the 97 NBA draft. So, that was the draft that Timmy Duncan went number one. Played with the Pacers, Mavs, Warriors, Bucks, and Spurs, where he played the final 3 games of his career with the Spurs. So I must admit, not really imagining him or picturing him in all those different jerseys I just mentioned there. So after the Pacers, it was Mavs, Warriors, Bucks, and Spurs. Look, I normally talk about accolades with these guys. This 6'10" power forward, he doesn't have any accolades, Woods. But look, he was definitely known as a really hard-working role-man throughout his career, and that's not a knock on him. He had career averages of 6.8 points and 4 boards. So, yeah, someone that I think, you know, he was always very loved on the teams he played for and that. Fun fact, Woods, he was only traded once in his entire 12-year career, and that was from Indiana to Dallas in exchange for your boy Marquise Daniels. So, I thought that was pretty cool. So, 12 seasons only traded once, not bad. So Crow's now 49, works as a college basketball commentator. So, yeah, an absolute blast from the past, this guy. Look, I'm sure there's people listening to this now. They're going to have to, you know, Wikipedia or YouTube this guy. But what were your memories of Austin Croshere?
Just a great teammate. You don't have a 12-year NBA career unless you can do all the X's and O's. You know, it doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but he'll be your 8th guy on the team, right? And be a good guy in the locker room, always on the bench cheering for his teammates and stuff. So that's the kind of attitude that keeps you in the league for an extended period of time. And it's really nice that you're showcasing his jersey because often those guys get forgotten about, right? And unless you had mentioned his name today, a lot of people wouldn't have thought about him in a very long time. So,
and this one certainly fits the bill, doesn't it? We always talk about our love for random jerseys, right? I've got a Reggie Miller one in the same cupboard next to it, or a Mark Jackson or a Jalen Rose, but no, I went to Austin Croshere because I love the random ones. And I like to talk about these guys' stories and maybe, you know, educate people that don't know about him, or, you know, give people a nice reminder that, you know, certainly do remember him there. So, yeah, shout out to Austin Croshere.
I'll tell you, he reminds me a little bit of Nick Collison. Just the kind of attitude, the kind of guy who can stay around and, you know, stay in the league for ages. Not necessarily because of his skill set, because of other intangibles. So
yeah, no, good call.
All right, so
to do card of the week.
Card of the week. Have you got a red one?
Well, I thought I'd keep the Pacers theme. You know this one because I sent you a photo when it arrived yesterday. So it's none other than a Reggie Miller Fleer 1988 PSA 8 rookie card. So love this one. I know we both got this card. It's very good to get one of these graded. These are what they call a condition-sensitive set, Wood. So to get an 8 out of 10 for one from this era is actually really good. These were the packs that came with chewing gum inside that used to ruin cards and all these sort of things. So as you recall me saying, Wood, it's probably my absolute favourite set, this 1988 Fleer set. This is the very first cards I bought on a trip to America in 1989 with mum and dad and my brother. So we went to a shop in LA, bought a few packs of these, went outside, literally outside the shop and opened them. Loved them, asked dad for a little bit more coin, went in and bought some more. And yeah, still probably my favourite set to this day, and I'm trying to sort of get some of these ones in the PSA rookie card format because that's my big thing collecting them. So there's some great rookies in this set. Obviously Reggie Miller, there's Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Muggsy Bogues, those sort of ones there. So bit of a trip down memory lane and kind of an all paces theme for me today, right? So I've got the Austin Croshere jersey and the Reggie Miller 1988 PSA 8 Fleer rookie card. You liking that one, right?
Liking that one. And Reggie would be liking the success of the Indiana Pacers as well, right? So it'd be great.
Hey, did you see that photo they were showing yesterday of Reggie with the dunking Dutchman Rick Smits? You forget, right? Reggie Miller is 6'7", right? He's an absolute giant. He looked tiny in that photo next to Rick Smits, who looked in pretty good shape, I've got to say. Sometimes you see those big guys and they kind of blow out a bit. But yeah, just reminded me, man, Rick Smits was a massive dude. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. So
awesome. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's my Pacers little throwback there. I can see you're rocking a bit of heat today.
So from a very, very rare jersey, I'm wearing, surprisingly, one of the most common jerseys probably ever, right?
Woods a stand-up rocking the Miami Heat. Number 6, LeBron James jersey. Nice looking jersey. I know we like the Adidas jerseys there, Woods. So yeah.
Definitely. I don't think either of us have ever worn a James jersey on the show, have we?
Well, I can't.
You don't have one?
I do not have one. People will be shocked. 600 or 700 jerseys don't have a LeBron jersey. Nothing like purposely. I don't not like him. I just don't have a LeBron jersey. So strange one.
I've only got this one. Oh, actually, I've got a Cavs one somewhere. But I guess I didn't want to go through his accolades. People can Wikipedia that, right? So I want to talk to you about what I was thinking about recently, right? I was thinking about in our lifetime, we got to experience Michael Jordan, right? Later, we got to experience Kobe and then LeBron. I mean, they've been great players other than those three, but those three transcended the game. They were more than just players. They were almost like mythical characters, like superheroes to some young people, right? And we were lucky to live through all of that, right? But think of someone like Rocco Zikarsky, who's 18, 19 years old.
You're comparing
right
Rocco
now.
Zikarsky to LeBron.
No, I'm just saying that LeBron's NBA career is older than Rocco Zikarsky, right?
True.
Some of these kids that are just picking up basketball for the first time at 15 or 16, right? They're going to get to see the fag end of LeBron's career, which is, they're really lucky. And I look back on it and I say, we're really lucky. So these last couple of years that LeBron has left, I just wanted to throw it out to you. We should really appreciate him for what he's done for the game and understand that we're not going to get to see him for much longer. And it gives an opportunity for some of the youngsters. And some of us have been following his career for 20 plus years to see it come to an end, right?
Here's a question for you, Woods. So we're always going to be the Jordan defenders, like guys now, era like that. Then the next level of people were like Kobe stands, right? Then you had the LeBron. Who's going to be the next one that these kids that are, maybe 7 or 8 now are going to end up loving? It's a bit up in the air, isn't it? I know they're wanting that great American player, whether it's an Ant Edwards or a Jalen Brunson, I'm not sure, because obviously we've just got a run of amazing overseas, out of America born players. But any ideas for that one?
I think it's going to be very difficult. I don't think so. It's very difficult to have that. Like, look at Michael Jordan. Like, he's a brand. LeBron, Kobe, they're a brand, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a nice one there, Woods. I'm loving that you're rocking the Heat LeBron jersey, you're rocking the Cavs hat there. So maybe I need to go out and buy myself a LeBron jersey. Maybe that's something I need to do. And I think, did it come out today, he's signing another 1-year deal with the Lakers? Like, we knew he was obviously coming back, but it might just be a one-year proposition thing for him now. So yeah, we've got to savor this time he's still in the league, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, speaking about LeBron, he was selected in the All-NBA team once again, All-NBA second team. But I thought let's start off the show talking a little bit about those selections. We haven't had a chance to cover them yet. So let's start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being voted MVP, right? He was obviously very, very proud, and his speech spoke about all the hard work that's taken him to get to this point. But it follows the long line of international MVPs, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's getting kind of unbelievable now when you look at the list going back now. I mean, you're talking to your Jokers, your Joel Embiids, your obviously SGA. Who am I forgetting there?
Giannis.
Oh, Giannis, of course. Yeah. It's getting kind of crazy, isn't it? And shout out to SGA Woods. I know you've been a massive fan of him since his rookie season there, when people were like, "Who's this guy with the longest name we've ever seen there?" But he just gets better and better. And yeah, it was good to see. I think he got 70 out of the 100 first place votes, with the Joker getting the rest there. So I maybe thought it might have been a tiny bit closer, but we know a lot of these voters will really go on team wins as well. And OKC had so many regular season wins, so I think they got it right. It's great to see a new MVP as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really proud for him, because this guy worked his butt off to get to where he was. No one would. I mean, I knew he was going to be good, and I thought LA Clippers gave up on him too early. But never would I thought that he would have scaled these heights. So we'll talk about him a little bit later when we cover the OKC Thunder. But I just wanted to break down the All NBA teams for you. So let's start with the All NBA first team, right? So the All NBA first team, you've got Giannis, Joker, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Any surprises there?
Well, Donovan Mitchell, I mean, I had a look at our preseason predictions. He was, obviously one we didn't have there. I think I had Ant Edwards in that spot, and you might have had
Curry.
Curry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, it's well deserved. Again, they're definitely rewarding players that were on teams with really great regular season records. So yeah, I've got no problem with that. That's a pretty high accolade though for Donovan Mitchell being a first, an All NBA first team. That's something that you can't wipe that off his resume there. But yeah, I think they got it pretty much right with those five. No issues from me there.
So if Donovan Mitchell wasn't in the first team, who would have taken his place?
I mean, who are the guards in the second team, like Curry or Brunson, right? So
the second team is Brunson, Curry, Edwards, LeBron, and Mobley. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, maybe Curry. I felt like Curry was a little bit slow early on, and then he was just crazy after that and had an amazing season. But I think they got it right. I think if you look at the team success and the stats, I think they got it right with that one. Yeah. That second team's pretty good as well, right? There's no one I could really argue on that. I think the third team, that's maybe the one where there's been a few people saying, did they get it right there? So maybe read out that one and give any snubs or anything.
Yeah, quickly before that, Evan Mobley, real ascension this year for him to go to an All NBA second team. So
people always, I think he was almost getting tagged a little bit as overrated last year. People were like, Evan Mobley, there's a lot of hype. They mentioned he was untouchable in trades and that. Well, defensive player of the year and an All NBA second team. So man, look out when his next contract's due, right?
Sure, for sure. And speaking of players who are told they were overrated, the third team consisted of Tyrese Haliburton, Cade Cunningham, who we're both very happy for, James Harden, who had a low-key great season, as you know, your boy Karl Anthony Towns, and J-Dub from the Thunder, man. That's the one that surprised me a bit.
I didn't hear you say Trae Young. Did you not say his name?
No, I didn't.
A lot of people are saying he was snubbed, and that's not just me, Woods. A lot of people are saying he should have made that over Harden. So I don't know. I mean, look, it's one of those teams. Look, you can see, the positions there, 3 guards and 2 forwards. We know that you don't have to do the traditional positions. Look, maybe Trae was a little bit unlucky. I don't know. Harden, I don't know.
Team success.
He was, again, but they didn't win that many more games than some of the other teams. What were they, sort of high 40s or something maybe? I don't think they won 50 games to the Clippers, but I don't really have any immediate answers apart from Trae of someone that might have won that. But maybe we'll focus on the positive sides. I thought it was great to see Big Cat made that. You could have maybe argued that Big Cat could have made the second team over LeBron or Evan Mobley, I would have thought, given how good he was there. And look, Cade Cunningham, I think he's going to be a bit of a regular fixture in these teams. Yeah. And Jalen Williams, he's someone that I think he's still a little bit under the radar for the common fan, right? He is a little bit, right? Jalen Williams, what's the go? There's another bloke with the same name on the team. It's a common name. There's about 30 Jalens in the league.
That doesn't help him. That doesn't help him, right?
It doesn't, no. He needs to have this unique name that stands out, but no, he's really improved. And I think, wasn't he part of that, a future draft pick that OKC had in that SGA trade as well? Yeah. So didn't it work out that they got him as well in that trade? So unbelievable.
And the thing about him is he's just very unassuming. He goes about his business. You look at the stat sheet in the night, and he's just filled up the box score nicely, right?
Plays at both ends as well, which is good,
Okay, so let's move on then. Let's talk about the conference finals, right? Let's talk about, they're both at 3-1, right? So OKC up 3-1, and Indiana just took a 3-1 lead over New York today, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to the Western Conference, right? First 3 games, pretty one-sided. OKC took care of Minnesota pretty easily in the first couple of games. Then Minnesota had a 40-point win in Game 3, right? And then today was a really, really close game, 128 to 126. I think the depth that the Oklahoma City Thunder have had has really shown in this series. And look, I want to just mention a guy that has stood out for me in this series, Alex Caruso. I know you've talked about the trade with Giddey and whatnot, but he's contributed in some really valuable ways in this series, and he's a bit of an unsung hero as well, I think.
Yeah, he's been all right. But no, look, you're right. 3 of those first 4 games, it was OKC by 26, OKC by 15, Minnesota by 42, which I'm still not quite sure what happened in that game. I mean, we're probably both expecting OKC going to close this out, which also means if they do close it out, there's no game on Saturday for my birthday, which I'm very disappointed about. So I'm hoping that Minnesota win tomorrow. But I don't know how Minnesota won that by 42. But yeah, we did finally get a good game 4, and that was good to see. A couple of little notes I had written down, Woods. I wanted to ask you about SGA, right? So he's someone that is copying a lot of flack, isn't he, at the moment? People calling him a free throw merchant, people are calling him a flopper, all these other sort of things like that. It's a little bit strange, isn't it? I don't know whether this is like an non-American bias that's going on there or something. Look, he does get to the free throw line a lot, but the guy averages like mid-30 points a game, right? He puts his body on the line. There's no doubt guys like him and Brunson know how to draw a foul. I think Brunson probably does it even more with the way his hair flies in the air and everything. But do you think it's a little bit unfair, the criticism that SGA's copying?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, he's a high character individual, and it's happening recently, right? He's been in the league for over half a decade now, and he's been nothing but positive vibes have been thrown his way by the media and his teammates and colleagues and whatnot.
It's all poppy syndrome, you reckon?
Absolutely, right? And then you think about a guy like him and the way he plays the game. You know, he has still got that 90s in his game a little bit. Yes, he's extended his range and he shoots threes now, but he still likes attacking the basket, getting to his spots, throwing head fakes. You know, the reason he gets to the line so much is because he's attacking the ring. You know, he's being aggressive, and his style of play gives for him to get to the free throw line, and that's old school, man. That's how Jordan did it, right? You know, that's how Kobe did it.
And how much the NBA focuses on flopping and stuff these days. So you never hear this guy getting called for flopping or getting warnings or anything else like that. So I think it's a bit unjustified there, but maybe it's taking a little bit of the shine. I want to maybe quickly focus on 3 Wolves players, I would. So Julius Randle, his struggles, right? So he was great in game 1, but the other 3 games, he's had 11 total points on 3 of 18 shots there. So I don't know what he's doing, right? He's just looking out of sorts. We know OKC's a great defensive team, but how has he gone from playing so well in that last series and good in game 1 to serving up what he's doing now?
It's hard to say, man. The Minnesota team, apart from that one game, have looked out of rhythm. Even today, you know, they relied on some individual brilliance to keep them in the game. But, you know, the guys came off the bench and had 20 each. I think it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker and DiVincenzo today. Both had 20 today, right?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Sorry, yesterday. My apologies. But yeah, I think, Minnesota have been disappointing.
Well, 2 other guys I wanted to focus on as well. One is a positive there, Terrence Shannon. In his last 2 games, he scored 24 points. So shout out to him. We've seen a few teams sort of going into there. Maybe we'll talk about that. There's a couple of guys in the Knicks series I wanted to mention. But shout out to Terrence Shannon. And just wanted to ask you maybe your thoughts on Ant. I feel like he's been up and down throughout the whole playoffs, to be honest. He's good one game, okay the next, bad the next, really good the next. He just hasn't had that consistency in all the rounds so far. What's your take on Ant?
My take on him is I talked about it on the podcast a week or 2 ago. I said the big ascension that I've seen from Ant Edwards this year is his ability to create for himself and others, right? You remember me saying that. And look, Julius Randle was a beneficiary of that, you know, and he was really having a good playoffs. What did he have? 20 in the first game 1. He had 20 in the first half, right? That's when he went quiet after that, right? Yeah. I think Ant Edwards needs to be a little bit more. You know, Mike Conley had 19 minutes on the floor today, right? So Ant Edwards needs to play that role of facilitator, get his teammates involved. I think he struggled in that department, and then that's impacted the team, right?
No, fair cool. So you think it's over in the next game, or what?
I think so. And look, 13 shot attempts today from Ant Edwards. Yesterday from Ant Edwards, right?
Yeah.
So probably look to create for his teammates more, be a bit more aggressive on offense. Yeah.
I think he might have to go out and put up a mid-30s game or something if they are to get through that game there. But I hope it does. I want that series to go a bit longer. Maybe a 2-point game in game 4. Maybe it sets it up for a better game 5. But I probably don't see it. I think it's just going to be the gentleman's sweep that maybe we both saw coming. But
yeah, anyway, I agree with you. I think the other series may extend to 6 games. So let's talk about that. That's been a really fun series, right? The New York Indiana series. A lot of history with those 2 teams. Tyrese Halliburton today, right? 12 rebounds, 15 assists, 31 points. I think it was 32 points, 4 steals, no turnovers, right?
He never gets turnovers, does he?
Yeah, man. Just almost a flawless game. The next highest rebounder was, I think, 5 from Pascal Siakam, it might have been. Yeah. So I just think that the minute that he was told that he was a bit overrated, right, he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder from there, and in all likelihood, he's going to take his team to the NBA Finals. So, and Carlisle as well, doing a great job with that team.
Definitely. Look, this has probably been my most enjoyable series so far. I was just thinking, what if we had one Game 7 series maybe in the last round? Look, I was kind of disappointed the Pacers won today. I wanted this to be 2-2 and almost have that best of 3, but, they took care of business. All 4 games have been decided by single digits, which was pretty amazing there. Halliburton's going to get a lot of the credit, as he rightly should, from today, but Pascal Siakam Woods, he's been amazing in this series, right? He's someone he's got a championship, right, with Toronto, that people maybe forget about that. He's had some big games in the past in big, situations there, but for me, he's been awesome, Pascal Siakam. And look, for Indiana, I think their depth has been pretty good. I think TJ McConnell's been really good. He wasn't amazing today, but he's been great. Miles Turner's kind of been handy. Probably one guy that's disappointed me a little bit for Indiana, Benedict Mathurin. I think he averaged 16 for the season, only had 15 in his last 5 games, but he stepped up today. So that was the sort of player that you need on your home court. He's a handy player, right? I probably didn't realise he averaged 16 in the season until I looked it up. So they need a bit more from him. One guy I want to ask you about, Woods, is Andrew Nembhard. I'm not sure about this guy, right? He starts, he's okay. He's 3 of 18 in his last 2 games there. What's your thoughts on him? Is he a good player or what?
He can be, right? I mean, he was a fantasy pickup, always on the waiver wire this year. People thought, let me go grab him. He starts, he plays minutes, right? And then he always lets you down. Yeah. But we saw him last year in the playoffs when he was given an extended role, what he could do, right? The talent is definitely there. The consistency may not be, right? But I think they've gone with this formula throughout the season and the playoffs, right? They've got TJ McConnell coming off the bench. Guys like Ben Shepherd, Obi Toppin you mentioned and whatnot. Like they've got a formula where these guys come off the bench and Nembhard starts. And it's got to get better than that. It's only going to go up. He's not going to be shooting 2 for 18 forever, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And what are your thoughts on the Knicks? Obviously, they made that big move with sending my boy Josh Hart to the bench there, starting Mitchell Robinson. They're trying some new lineups, right? Wright's been playing.
I could not believe it.
I know. I was shocked. He had a couple of moments. He's never been able to shoot. He's a great defender, great long arms and that. Landry Shamet's been playing a little bit like that. So you've seen Coach Tibbs make a few moves there. But, what's your thoughts? Is he maybe getting a little bit desperate and just trying to find a rotation that'll stick?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, look, even in that third game, your boy Karl Anthony Towns, right? Honestly, that's one of the best games I've ever seen him play, right? I mean, the first 3 quarters, he had 2 points, right? In the fourth quarter, put the team on his back. New York was down by 20, right? Yeah. But that was papering over the cracks of what should have already probably been a sweep if Indiana didn't choke in that game. Yeah. But Karl Anthony Towns was fantastic in that fourth quarter. The confidence that he showed, right? It bodes well for the future, right? Because he was always, a little bit standoffish. Can I be that guy in the prime time, right? Or should I leave the shine to somebody else? He's showing that he can be that guy now. I mean, he was just amazing to watch in that fourth quarter.
He's doing his 9th season or something like that. He seems to have shown more improvement this year than he's shown the last few years. And obviously that situational change from going to New York's really suited him well there. What are your thoughts? I mean, let's say Pacers do win this one, and maybe we can talk a bit about this after. What do you think New York need maybe to go that further level? Is it just extra bench depth there, or is there a certain position you think they're lacking?
I think they should look at a serious change of coach, right? I mean, they've
got... Wow, are you saying that for a guy that's in the conference finals?
I'm saying that, right? I'm saying that. This is... I know might not be a popular opinion, but this guy, if he manages his players better, they're in a better position to win this series, right? And Tibbs isn't going to change. He hasn't changed, right? You want to win a championship, right? There's a lot of good coaches out there that can make this team. You've got guys on the bench that haven't been playing that another coach may have played, right? Is what I'm trying to say to you. Yeah. And I think I would do that.
Yeah, I know. It's a big call. Yeah. I really, I did say when the Hawks didn't make it that I was going for the Knicks in the playoffs. They're one game away from getting eliminated. I really hope this is one of these series that goes to 7. Surely New York can win that game 5 at home, right? We saw them give up the first 2 games in New York. You think that they'll load it up with the 100 celebrities that they love showing, all the former Knicks players, and Bernard King when he sits there and smiles for 5 minutes always cracks me up, and Clyde Frazier wearing his ridiculous clothes. But look, I'd love to see him win that and make it 3-2 and put that pressure going back to Indiana, because they know if they can get that, then they've got a game 7 on their home court. But are they a chance, do you think, or is this one over as like the West Series?
I think it's over in 6, right? But if you told the New York Knicks at the start of the season you're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and you're going to lose in 6 games, they would have probably taken.
Everyone would have taken that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let's hope so, because look, we want these players to get a little bit better. I just hope this series, I can't see Minnesota, doing much damage and making that series longer, but maybe it's New York that can extend that series in the East.
Yep. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the impact of these teams potentially making the finals later in the show. So we'll get to that in a minute. But before that, let's talk about the the ghost in the room, let's say, right? Well, it's not a ghost anymore. The Adelaide 36ers announced that former Perth Wildcat, legend, future Hall of Famer, son of Western Australia, Bryce Cotton, has signed a 3-year contract with the Adelaide 36ers. Now, when I read this, I sent you the screenshot from Instagram or whatever, and we all thought it was a joke. We thought it was the same as the Lakers trade, the Luka trade, yeah? And then you send a text back saying, Woods, I think it's true, right? So I'm just going to stop right there. I'm just going to give you the floor.
I've had a lot of emotions. What are we, 6 days since this announcement came out? You're right, it did seem a little bit like fake news. You look for that Olgan tweet, you look for other stuff like that. I don't think he broke it. Shout out to the people that did break it. But I'm still processing things. I feel like each day more things are coming out.
That's true.
If we had done this podcast, say, on the weekend, I probably would have been talking very differently. I was pretty pissed off and disappointed and upset that he sort of did this, and all those sort of emotions were coming out. Look, I know we both listened to that podcast with Devondrick Walker. Basically, those two are great mates, and he kind of set the record straight a little bit. And that's what was perhaps a little bit alarming there, that the Wildcats potentially put an ultimatum on him just after the season had finished, saying we want an answer in 3 days. Cotton sounded like he wanted to test free agency a little bit, and he wasn't happy with the 3 days there. And then it seemed like they put out a press release saying that we've moved on from him, sort of thing. At that stage, it doesn't appear like he'd actually made a decision. He hadn't said to him for sure. I'm not sure who to believe, though, Woods. There's a lot of different stories going on here. There was the story that it's very likely he's going to go and play in Asia. He won't play for another team. That's one thing I think you can't forget there, and that's why a lot of fans are annoyed about this. I think this latest news and the information that came through on that podcast is probably not a great look for the Wildcats there. I will say as well, a lot of people have been hating on John Rillie and almost saying it was his fault. If you listen to that podcast, and I recommend people do after you listen to Throwback Hoops, of course, but he had a lot of good things to say about Rillie, and I don't think the coach is the one that makes all these sort of moves like that. They don't sort of get involved in that. Is this a Danny Mills thing? Is this a Mark Arena thing? It seems like it's maybe likely more then. But I would have thought for someone that's done what he's done for this Wildcats team, and he maybe deserved a little bit more time to make a move, or at least be on the same page with him there. I mean, look, it's not like we're having to get up in the middle of the night and call someone because he's playing in Puerto Rico. Just have some like FaceTime and try and at least just get in front of this guy and say, look, we're not trying to bully you or rush you into a decision. We just want to try and get our roster set. In saying that, it's not like they've gone out and signed some marquee guard to replace him. They've re-signed their 2 imports from last year, and they've signed a couple of bit pieces from Adelaide. So it just seems like there's some truths that aren't coming outwards, and I'd love the Wildcats to sort of maybe talk a little bit. We saw Mark Arena came out and ask a few things, didn't really say much. I'm going to say it right now, Woods. Danny Mills, not sure I'm a fan of that guy. He seems to be one of those guys that you can interview him for 10 minutes and he doesn't say anything. He kind of just speaks in cliches. He's always like that, talks that, but nothing really comes out in what he's saying there. So that's probably my long ramble there to say, look, I'm disappointed and I'm hurt. I know my mum's really hurt. She's been leaving all these comments on Facebook, like, she's devastated about it and stuff. But yeah, it has clarified, I think, a little bit the news that came out with that perhaps it's not all Bryce, it's the Wildcats. But so many questions over Woods. Why didn't he sign in Japan? Why has he come back here? There's all these things that I'm just not sure of. So what's your thoughts on this whole saga?
Firstly, Devondrick Walker, the Easy Day show, right? Man, he's got a future in the media. He did a great job in interviewing Bryce.
He did set a record for saying bro in one podcast. Yeah. Over and under was 50, I think.
I enjoyed the cadence the two of them had. So the way that it came across, and you could hear some love between the two of them. So continue listening to that show. As you said, with someone like John Rillie and him, it's very easy for us looking from afar to read body language on the court and presume, right, that those two had an issue. Obviously now, when we hear the inside information, we hear that obviously that relationship was in a good place. I think Mark Arena did come out and say that there was some truth to what Bryce said, right? Around they had a deadline and they needed him to sign before that deadline. So what I'm going to do is this, man. I'm going to actually I've done some work and I didn't put it on the run sheet because I wanted to get this reaction from you.
Yeah, you're not going to do a rap or something here, are you? Or?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that, man. So I've taken some quotes from that podcast and various different outlets, and I'm going to read them to you, right? And I want to get your reaction to these quotes, right?
Sure.
All right. So let's start here. As much as people feel or say, why did I leave the Wildcats? I didn't technically leave, the 3-time NBL champion and 2-time MVP said. Now, this is about you saying...
2-time finals MVP.
2 times final MVP said. My apologies. Yeah. So, this goes back to what you're saying. There's two sides to the story. What's really true? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, he mentioned they sent him this press release, I think, like a draft copy of it, and he basically said he just read the first 2 lines and right, if that's the way they feel that I'm done, sort of thing there. So essentially, they were breaking up first when he hadn't kind of made that decision. So look, it's pretty disappointing and almost quite shocking to hear that. And again, why could you not? Someone that's been in the team that long and you've got all these relationships, why can't you speak to the guy in person? Maybe bypass the agents and say, we want to have a direct chat with him. We want to sort of see, don't send him a draft copy of saying, at least get him to call. He might say, look, I do need another week. Can you give me that? And they might have said yes, but I don't know. Something doesn't quite add up, does it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he said he arrived in Puerto Rico, and within a few days, I think it came up in outlets. Within a few days of him arriving to play for his gig in Puerto Rico, they said we need a decision by tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And that's just. He's like, look, I want to test free agency because I've done that in the past. When am I going to be hot property again? It's my God-given right to go and test what I'm worth on the open market. Give me a few weeks, right? And the Wildcats should give him a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
After all he's done for the club. All right, so let me read another one to you here. I just find it so funny. I broke the league scoring record in December. The Western Australian gives me this big-ass poster titled King of the Jungle. We're 6 months later now, and they're talking about I'm the lying king. It's crazy. When I go back to Perth, I'm burning that mother effer. That little gift they gave me, that shit is going straight in the fireplace. Wow.
That headline was like something you'd see in one of those, British tabloids or the New York Post or something like that. Yeah, for those that hasn't seen it, there's a picture of Bryce Cotton and lying, as in not the lion, but lying king, and a picture of him like that, and then basically it's a little sort of spiel onto that. So I saw quite a few people sort of in defence of Bryce. One of the big one there was Greg Hire there. I'm not sure if you saw that. He was saying it was an absolute disgrace that the West Australian had done that there. Look, we know what newspapers are there for. They're there to, sell papers or get clicks or whatever it is in this modern day and age. Yeah, that did seem a little bit harsh there that they sort of said that, but yeah, that's man, he's got some extra motivation when he comes back to Perth alongside Montrezl Harrell, who re-signed today. We should add for Adelaide and try and drop a 50 piece on us there, but yeah,
and I mean, like, I knew that was coming, by the way, right? Because those guys are boys. The minute he saw Bryce's signature, he's like,
they're going to be like, I mean, I don't know if when you go to when the Perth. Adelaide are in town to play the Kings this year. I'm 100% going with you, Woods. I can't miss that game. Right? That's going to be must-watch basketball there. But yeah, like this.
I was going to wear the Harrell jersey today, man, but I thought, no, that's rubbing it in a bit to Robbie, right?
Maybe. Yeah, look, I don't know. I feel like this might change the way the public's sort of thinking about it now. I feel like the early sort of stuff on social media after this announcement was really hating on Bryce. Now it's kind of shifted a little bit there, but. Yeah, it's disappointing. I'm still, like I said, there's still questions that need to be asked. What happened to this whole going over to Asia thing? Did an offer or a deal just not transpire there? The fact that he got a 3-year deal for Adelaide at his age now is a pretty good effort. Some people are saying that they might have a way to fast track the naturalisation stuff, which is very interesting there. Maybe they've got someone that knows someone in high places that might be able to help him with that. Maybe that's something that's played a part. I don't know if you can put that on the Wildcats there, that he can get the citizenship. There's been, I would have thought he would have had like an immigration lawyer type person that would have looked after that stuff for him. So whoever was looking after that really clearly dropped the ball there. But yeah, I wonder if that's part of the contract. But getting a 3-year deal at this stage is pretty good for him, right? And not moving too far from home. He's moving to the team that's basically closest in proximity from Perth. Like it's not like it's close, but it's still fairly close.
Yeah, and that relationship he has with Montrezl Harrell means that they can link up,
Well,
which is
even
great.
the relationship with the coach as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who was
yeah.
the assistant coach at Utah and Bryce
Yep.
had his short stint there. So it just shows you keep these relationships in basketball. It even applies to the corporate world, doesn't it? If you've got a manager you got on well with it 10 years ago that's the manager of another company now, you might want to join them. So it's funny how it relates to basketball like that. But Mike Wells we're talking about, of course. Yeah.
Yep, Mike Wells. Yep. And look, I'll just finish off with one final quote from Bryce. Full disclaimer, just because a team that I played however many years for decided to do what they felt was best for them and part ways with me, that doesn't mean I have to part ways with this league, right? And that's fair enough, right? So, I mean, there was a lot of talk about him going to Asia and whatnot, but he obviously wants to stay in this league. I think he wants to go and, keep building on those records he's already created, and Adelaide gives him the vehicle to do so, right?
I think this is why it's hurt, a lot of, massive Wildcats fans like myself was because maybe in my mind it was like, you know what, he'll go and sign a 2-year deal in Japan, go and set himself up for his family. I totally understand that. Maybe he'll come back to the Wildcats. Maybe he'll come back and play a final season with him or something like that now. But that's clearly out the door and the window now, that idea. But yeah, very, very interesting development.
That'll be spicy, that Adelaide-Sydney game, right? So looking forward to going out to Kudos with you. All right, so let's just do some true or false before we finish up, Robbie. All right, there's been a lot of talk in the media from various different scouts around Cooper Flagg and what his ceiling is, right? So I'm going to ask you, Cooper Flagg is a little bit overrated. True or false?
I'm going to say false on that one. Look, I think the hype's very much real with him. I don't think it's quite at that level, this last 20 years stuff that you saw with LeBron or you saw with Wemby. Maybe he's up there more with like that kind of Zion sort of hype that came through there. But look, he's played against some of these Olympic players and he's really held his own there. Every single one of them's raved about him. He had a great freshman season there in with Duke there. So I'll say false. I hope he really comes on. Massive coup that Dallas are going to be able to draft him there to replace him there and put it alongside that team. Just quickly, Woods, while I mentioned Dallas, did you see the news about Derek Lively last week? Apparently they've measured him. He's now 7'3", so he's grown like an extra 2.5 inches since he got drafted. So 7'3", that's ridiculous. So yeah, anyway, I thought I'd mention that. But no, I'll say false. What are your thoughts?
I think false too, right? And look, we talked about guys like LeBron and Kobe, Michael, whatever. Not everyone's going to be like that, but this guy could be a multiple-time All-Star, right?
Yeah.
And I think the sky's the limit for Cooper, so I'm going to say false as well. All right. All right. Wildcats fans will boo Bryce Cotton on his return to Perth.
This is very much a true one, I would have thought, Woods, and that's not saying that every Wildcats fan is going to boo him, but he will definitely hear some boos. There's no doubt about it in my mind there. There's people in sport that, you can be their absolute hero and someone that's, they absolutely love, and then when something changes on his team, they can instantly switch there. So I think there'll be a lot of people that give Bryce a standing ovation and are happy to have him back in town. But there's no doubt in my mind that there'll be a group of fans that'll boo. I'm not sure how big that group will be, but I'd say almost lock that in that he will hear some boos in that first game back in Perth. I would have thought. Am I on the right track there? Do you think?
Yeah. All you have to do is look at the various comments on socials around him leaving for Adelaide from the Red Army.
It
right?
might be 10 or 20% of the crowd, right? But, yeah.
Yep. But I mean, that's still enough to hear it. So.
See, again, if you'd have asked me this question last week, like just after the news, I probably would have said I would have booed, but no, I wouldn't boo now. I respect the greatness and, for what he did and, being the second best of the NBL player, as I mentioned several times.
Yep. Look, a lot of people have said this NBA playoffs have been fire, right? But you and me have had various discussions saying, look, the series may have been close in some cases, but the games haven't been. And I just find it's been a little bit underwhelming. You see like the big names leaving early as well, which doesn't necessarily help ratings. Yeah? Tell me.
I'll definitely say true, yeah. I think every close game and every exciting game that we've seen, there seems to be the next one or two games that are totally one-sided, blowouts, not that interesting. So, look, as I mentioned, I hope these remaining playoff games, and especially the actual final series, will be great and go the distance there. But, I think both of us would. We want to see game sevens. We want to see these close, battles where it's, teams holding their home court and everything else like that. But there's been just a lot of blowout games. There's some games that I never normally like to turn games off, but you're looking at a game and there's a team up mid-20s in the second quarter. It's like, man, this is hard to watch, right? So there has been some good series, but there's also been more series that haven't been good. So I'll definitely say true for that one. Underwhelming.
I'm going to agree with you. True. It just hasn't captured my imagination like previous playoffs have.
Maybe
So
we're just hating because the Hawks didn't make it. Who knows, right?
that too, man. Look, the final question is staying on that sort of theme, right? New York and Minnesota being in the finals would have. I mean, it's looking like it's going to be Indiana and OKC, but New York and Minnesota being in the finals would be better for the league in terms of eyes on it, ratings.
Yeah, I don't know about Minnesota more. I think OKC can sort of justify that having the MVP, the all NBA 13. But look, there's no doubt the NBA would absolutely love for New York to make it right. They haven't won a title since 1973, which is quite hard to believe there. So there's no doubt if the NBA can do anything to try and get this happening and get New York in there, they would. But yeah, I still think whatever these scenarios are, and at the moment we're probably both thinking it will be an OKC versus Pacers there. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Look, we're not sort of people that we watch things on NBA League Pass. We're not someone that these national TV things they talk about in America and the ratings over there. I don't really care about their ratings. I just want to see a good final series. But yeah, definitely for New York. Maybe not so much in Minnesota. I don't know there's much difference between either Minnesota or OKC making it in terms of ratings or just the public opinion there.
Yeah, look, fair opinion. I want to say false. Look, forget about ratings for one season. This is a message to all the small market teams that, if you build through the draft and things like that, you can really have success. Like OKC is a perfect example of that, right? So it's a great advertisement for some of the smaller market teams.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, shall we do classic packs?
Yeah, let's do it. We haven't done it for a while. Hey, I should say, Woods, hopefully my internet's holding up. I know I've got a lot of feedback last week. Hey, we love the podcast. It was great to hear Jay Kurosami from Hills, but Robbie, the internet was crap. So I'm not sure. We've spoken about it, Woods. Woods is our technical expert on the show. He thinks it might be more a RAM issue for my laptop because I'm getting some super fast internet speeds here. So hopefully this is coming through better than last week. It seems to be a bit better after the first 5 minutes, Woods.
It is. It's a lot better after the first 10, 15 minutes, man. So
right,
it seems to be good now.
Yeah,
so all good. I've got the tops 94, 95. And I've been finding it very difficult to find these, right? So these are an awesome
These are the ones with the gold or the silver foil stamped one. Rather
they're
hard to cool. You always hope you get like a good player with that stamp.
I think Sid might have sent me one of these.
Yeah, we've definitely opened one or two.
Yeah.
No, there's nice ones. What did you say? 94, 95?
Yeah, 94, 95 tops. Yeah.
Okay.
Series 1. All right. We're gonna start off with one of our favorite Hawks of all times, the short-armed power forward.
Kevin Willis, he's seemed to pull his card a lot, don't we? And remind me of these ones nice. He's doing that pattern and jump hook over a couple of nicks, I think, by the looks there. See, that's what I like, Woods. Look at that. You've got you've got two pictures, you've got all the stats and bios, plus, heights and stuff like that. I was looking at some of the cards lately. He doesn't even tell you how old or what the person's height is now. So show me that again. Hold that up again. That is how I like a basketball card to look on the back. They're the ones you can read and know a little bit about, where they went to college, how heavy they are, what year they were born, all that sort of thing. So I like that. That's cool. What does it say at the bottom? I won't ask you for it. What does it say on the bottom of these?
Kevin emerged as a star 3 seasons ago after averaging 12.5 points and 8.3 rebounds per game and 0.7 assists. From 1984 to 91, he has boosted these numbers to 18.4, 13.5 and 2, right?
I don't think they should have mentioned the 0.7 assists.
Yeah.
No,
but
but like that, though. I like the way they do this.
All right. The great man, number 42 from the Lakers.
James, big game worthy.
Yep.
Nice. Is that on him there? Is that Alfonso Willis? I can't quite see that there.
Yep.
It is.
And he would have just been finishing up that year,
Yeah,
right? And would you believe I pulled 2 James Worthy cards in a row?
Oh, is one the foil stamp one or not? It must be, right? It can't be. They must be something.
Yeah. One of them is.
Okay, that's random.
Oh no, they're not. They're
the same card.
No, they're exactly the same card, man.
Quality control at tops back in 94, 95.
Come on, guys. Yeah.
No wonder they lost their license for a while.
Okay. I mean, they gave him so much shit when the 92 Olympics came around. Jordan and Pippen were like, man, I'm guarding him. Little did they know they'd create a great friendship that's lasted forever.
That'd be the waiter, Tony Kukoc.
Yeah, the waiter. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, someone that had a bit of a stint with our Hawks at the end of his career there. But yeah, he's someone he's great. I think he'd really go well in the modern game as well, wouldn't he? With the way he plays.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy gets slept on. Straight up walk-in bucket, 20 points per game every year, basically for his first 10 years. San Antonio Spurs, Milwaukee Bucks, 6'9" from DePaul, power forward.
Terry Cummings. Big
Like,
fan of that guy.
like, is he a Hall of Famer? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, no.
But like, look at his scoring, like 20 points a game for like 10 seasons in a row.
I know I should interrupt during Classic Packs Woods. I was hearing someone talk about Robert Horry the other day, saying he should be a Hall of Famer. What are your thoughts on that? He's
No.
seven finals. You know, he's the most out of anyone from those Boston teams. You don't think he should? It's got to be close.
Actually, now that I think about it more, what has he done to influence the game? He's Big Shot Rob. He's known for everything, right? Like his influence on the game and popular culture, right?
Yeah, I think he might eventually make it. Honestly,
yeah, I think he deserves it. Yeah,
maybe we'll pull his card now. That'd be ironic. But yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a debate for another day, maybe.
He's an edge case where he's,
he is.
you know what I mean?
Test all over
Yeah. All right. Oh, you love this guy. He's pretty mad. Number 11.
Oh, Mad Max. No, straight out of Houston there. Love the way Mad Max went about it. Amazing follow on X as well. If you want to hear someone just crap on Utah and Utah fans and the actual city as well, it's quite hilarious. But yeah, he was a great player back in the day.
All right, from one Terry to the other. Detroit Pistons, number 6.
Terry Mills.
Terry Mills.
He was one of those prototypical big guys that could stretch the floor. He was a stretch mark for, wasn't he? What's his weight on the back of that? I'm tipping he was
6'10", 250.
250, yeah. He was a big boy. So, no, he wasn't bad, Terry Mills.
All right, we've got 2 All-Star cards in a row, okay? We got... Oh, almost forgot he was an All-Star. Number 10. This is when he was on the Hornets. When he was a Hornet, you know?
You like how I got that from the number?
Yeah,
that's crazy that he's got that.
Yeah.
On his stats there. And look, as I've mentioned a few times, everyone loves a good BJ.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is unique. A BJ Armstrong All-Star card. Like, rare, right? There wouldn't be many of those. Yeah. Okay, and I've got another from... Oh, man. His only All-Star appearance as well. The first round pick, one in the 1990 NBA draft. Made one All-Star game.
DC?
DC.
Derek Coleman, yeah. Nice.
A lot of other one All-Star.
He's been guarded by a good bloke on that card as well, right?
Yeah, Colin Malone. And look, quality control. We've got... Oh, no, this is just a checklist.
Ooh.
You can go.
Done that for a while. Shout out to Lee Ellis. He's doing great on ESPN Australia, isn't he? He's covering these finals. Shout out to Lee.
We've got... Okay, sorry. This is just a rebound hound. It's a card that just says rebound hound on it. It's got a picture of Dennis Rodman, but on the back it talks about the leading rebounder, most efficient rebounders in the league. Yeah. And they've got, in that year, you got Dennis Rodman 1, Dikembe Mutombo 2, Olden Polynice 3,
Officer Olden Polynice.
Kevin Willis 4, Shaq 5. So
is that insert that card, or is that a normal number on that one? What's the number?
It is a insert. Oh, it's a 50. Now 54. I think it's a normal card.
Yeah, Rebound Hound. Okay.
Rebound Hound. Yeah. It's got a picture of Rodman on it, but it actually just talks about the leading rebounders in the league. Vlade Divac on that list. And then final card, I've got. Oh, his son is currently playing for the Golden State Warriors.
So it's got to be the glove, Gary Payton.
No.
Ooh, okay.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a trick question. Big man.
Dale Davis.
Dale Davis, obviously father of Trace Jackson Davis.
I think I nailed them all this week, Woods. I did it right then. But like I said, I think I actually do have that set in one of the folders in this cupboard there. I remember, it was always difficult to try and complete it because you try and get the silver ones as well. But I do recall that I might have close to that set. So, that's a good throwback thing then.
Awesome. I got about 4 more of those packs so we can get through them over the coming months.
Nice.
All right, man. Take us out.
Yeah, definitely. So as we mentioned at the start, just a reminder to please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Really appreciate everyone's support. And we'll keep doing these. It was great to have a guest on last week. We've definitely got a lot of guests in the bag. Probably once the NBA season dies down, we'll maybe sort of call up on a few more of those guests coming forward there. Please make sure you follow us on socials. So you can follow us on X at Throwback Hoops. Instagram, throwback.hoops, and our email address is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Patreon, Woods?
Patreon. Please jump onto Patreon and search for Throwback Hoops. If you want to contribute anything to the show, we'd appreciate it, but no No obligation.
Hey, I've got a final thought. And I know you broke the news to myself and our good mate Sydney Seeking today, but yeah, the news that Alex Condon came out that he's staying in college. He's going back to Florida for another season there. So that was kind of mixed news, I thought there. I was actually really excited that there could potentially be 5 Aussies drafted this year, and obviously Condon's not there now. We're talking about, Proctor, Zakarsky, maybe Ben Henschel, and Alex Tui there. But yeah, shout out to Alex Condon. He's obviously got good advice, and it's probably in his interest to go back for another year and try and defend that NCAA championship. We know Florida are good at getting back-to-back championships there, so thought I'd mention that one there.
Yeah, and good decision. He can develop his game and his stock will rise, I feel, in the off season.
Oh, and one more thought on that as well. I know you came out and watched that NBL 1, Hills Hornets against Illawarra last week. Unfortunately, Hills was very much outplayed in that, but yeah, it was great to get to meet NBL legend Todd Blanchfield after the game. He signed my Wildcats jersey, he signed an NBL card for me, and really gracious and willing this time. So really good to see it. Also, shout out to McDowell White. Young McDowell White, who's playing in that. Kobe for Illawarra Hawks sort of player. He is a name to watch out for. He was really
Absolutely.
impressive in that game. And this Sunday, if anyone's around, Hills Hornets are taking on Sydney Comets, who have none other than Will Davo Hickey, Wally Bales, and Obi Shea on the team. So cannot wait for that game on Sunday. You better be clearing your diary and coming to that one.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. Yeah.
Buy some flowers or something. Just
right.
be home in a few hours.
All right, I'll look it out. I'll be there. All right. And yeah, everyone else, enjoy the playoffs. Until next week, from Robbie and I and the team at TBH. Peace out.